As it grew dark, this small boy is a little bit frightened this time, and he looked around for shelter, for a refuge to spend the night, a resort maybe. Those days, no resorts as you see around you right now. He looked around, he saw a light somewhere up on the hills, one single light burning, a ray of hope. It was getting dark, a boy all on his own. So he thought there might be somebody over there, so he went straight, almost running. He reached there. There was a light, and to his amazement, he understood that it was a temple, which he really wanted to go, for that might have been his destination. So he thanks God for having led him to the correct destination. Again, he was surprised to see nobody there. He wanted to be an assistant to the priest there, but no priest could he find there. Only the deserted temple, dusty, full of cobwebs. He knew that there were no people around, so he knocked at the door, but no one came and opened the door for him. Full of dust, all the places were dusty. But what made him happy? There were so many screens around him, which made him happy. Because what is his hobby? Drawing pictures. Pictures of cats. So without wasting much time, he started drawing pictures one by one. Great many number of cats did he draw on the walls of the screens everywhere. Within no time, there were lots and lots of cats upon the walls, on the screens, on the canvases, everywhere. Again he called for someone to help him, but he found no one. It was getting dark. He was tired after having walked 12 miles, so he decided to take rest. And it was a spacious temple. The frontage was spacious. He wanted to lie down there. The moment he was almost to lie down, because of his tiredness, then came a sudden remembrancer, as Shakespeare calls it, a sudden remembrancer. What is that? He remembered the advice of the old priest, from where he had come over to here. He remembered his advice. What is that? Avoid large places at night, keep to small. He now thinks about finding a smaller place or a smaller place to hide himself that night. Now, the real reason behind why the place had been deserted was that there was the temple was actually occupied by by an enormous, a huge goblin rat, which had come from somewhere. It was a menace, a threat to the people over there. When it was dark, nobody dared to go out. Nobody ventured out of their houses. Now here what happened was that this goblin rat, it once entered the temple and it killed all the priests. Not even a single one was left behind. All the priests were killed and eaten. The king knew about it. He sent soldiers to capture, to kill this goblin rat. But the goblin rat devoured all the soldiers, all the army that came in search of it. More soldiers did the king send. The same was the fate with the newcomers too. But our boy did not know anything about it. In fact, the lamp which was burning in the temple was a snare. It was a trap to attract people to the temple. And the goblin rat used to eat up all those people who came there attracted by the light, who came for a refuge, who came for a succor or a help. Now, today was the bad day of the boy. But the boy actually does not know what was happening around. The reality was that he was a little bit frightened, fretting a lot, shivering, because this was his first experience without anybody around, all alone in dark, in a deserted place, in a cabin, in a small cabinet, a wooden cabinet. Decides to adhere or stick to the advice of his erstwhile priest with whom he had been working as an acolyte. Okay, he decides to spend the night there. At night, to his amazement and of course to his anxiety, he heard noises of fighting. He had seen nobody there, then he thought, what is this? At this time about midnight, voices of screaming and fighting, everything from outside. But he never ventured out. He never went out to see what was happening outside, because he was shivering like anything. He spent the whole night inside that cabin. The next morning, when all the noises were over, the morning light was seeping in through the chinks of this cabinet, wooden cabinet. He knew it was morning and there was nothing to be afraid of. Broad daylight, who to be afraid of? He opens the door of the cabinet and he comes out. He was awestruck, wonderstruck to observe an enormous, a huge goblin rat lying dead in a pool of blood. This was for the first time in his life that he was seeing such an enormous rat, almost as big as a cow, lying dead in a pool of blood. He couldn't believe his eyes, what he was looking at. A shudder went up his spine. And when he looked around, he saw blood on the teeth and the mouths of the cats that he had drawn around the temple, on the walls and screens. So he comes to the conclusion that this goblin rat might have been attacked and killed by the cats that he had drawn overnight. The sound of fighting and the screaming all were in fact the noise of the quarrel between the cats and this goblin rat, he understood. And you know what saved this boy's life? Yes, the advice of the old priest is that avoid large places at night, keep to small. So having having given an ear to the advice of an old priest, an experienced priest, saved the boy's life. Friends, this is a very nice story, a Japanese folk tale, which you find the boy in the end being saved, and a threat, a menace, a challenge to the whole village having been eradicated, wiped out by the timely intervention of a brave boy, and of course the cats that he drew, which in fact helped to kill the goblin rat. Sure, you have enjoyed the Japanese folktale, the second story in your textbook, The Boy Who Drew Cats. We have been discussing the last part, or the latter part of the story, where we find the goblin rats killed by the cats, which the boy drew on the screens of the temple where he reached. Anyhow, the story has a happy ending. As we were reading the story, we were one with the boy. We felt for him. We wanted the boy to be saved from the goblin rats, because there was nobody to help him. Now move on to an activity given in your textbook, given on page 35 of your textbook. It's a very simple activity. Events that ultimately led to the inevitable death of the monstrous goblin rat. All you have to do is to arrange them in order in a flowchart. A flowchart means you are asked to arrange them in order, in the chronological order, or in the order as they happened. Sometimes the first sentence may be given in a flowchart. Sometimes the middle one may be given, or the end of the story might be given. In this case, we have to fill up the flowchart of the incidents that led to the goblin rat's death. Come on, let's go and see how it is done. Yes, here my friends is the flowchart that I prepared myself of the incidents that led to the death of the goblin rat, which I have written in an order, in the order. Okay. Thank you for watching me. Have a nice time.